Hey guys, I'm Rachel Richardson. I'm a social studies education major, and I want to welcome you to my book talk. So today I'm going to be talking about two books that really give us an insight as to what life was like in America at one point in history. So the first one I want to talk about is Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. So what happens in this story is it is about a man named Jurgis and his family who immigrate to the U.S. from Lithuania. So as they're here, the book describes what it's like working in the meat factory in the U.S. and then as well as his life getting fired and working hard as an immigrant and how hard it is and what the struggle is of coming to America and trying to start a life for yourself. Some themes that you see within this book are immigration, as there are many characters in the story that are from other countries, and as we see this theme in the book, we understand what it is like and was like for immigrants in the U.S. to come and start a life here in America and just face struggles as in trying to get jobs, trying to stay healthy, and especially in the time of America when the meatpacking industry was so prevalent, how upsetting the conditions of America were. And so how could I integrate this into a lesson as a social studies teacher? So like I talked about, we see how this story has this plot line and setting of a time in America where we were very prevalent with the meatpacking industry. And so we can look at things like that and how we can look at immigration and see the role of immigrants in America at that point in time and how so many would come to the U.S. so frequently, as this story was, as it was set in the North. So thinking about this, I would use this text in a high school setting so that my students could read it and truly analyze the time period and the themes that the story brings, and it'd give us a greater understanding of America in this time period. And so how could I demonstrate faith into it? I could look at the time period of the story and the role that faith had in society at this point in time. And I know that I'll be reading this book to students that are unaware of American history, like maybe some from other countries, and I can relate to how these characters came to the U.S. and had to start a life for themselves, and can maybe relate that to my students who might be from other countries. And we can read it in different languages to help them understand it as well, and just be open to asking questions and discussion and encouraging that. So my second book that I want to talk about is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So this is such a classic story, has a great movie that goes along with it, and we read this story oftentimes a lot in high school, which is the reason why I thought about it. So what happens in this book? So this is such an exciting book that is also an exciting movie, but the storyline of The Great Gatsby is mainly surrounding a character named Nick Carraway, who moves to New York to pursue his career. And so he moves right into an area of New York where old money is so prevalent. And so turns out he moves right next door to a man named Jake Gatsby. And so right down the road from him is his cousin Daisy and her husband Tom. And so as Nick is coming to the area, he gets more acclimated and learns about Jake Gatsby and these parties that he throws, and oftentimes sees about them due to the green light at the end of the dock, which symbolizes hope. And so what we see happen in the story is Nick becomes friends with Jay Gatsby, and Jay wants Nick to help him rekindle with his cousin Daisy because they were once lovers. And so Nick and Daisy have an affair behind Tom's back while Tom is also having an affair. And so one day, Jay and Daisy go out to town, and Tom is with Myrtle, his mistress. And so as Daisy is driving back, she hits Myrtle and kills her. And so from looking at this story, we just notice certain themes such as the American dream. And being this, we see the way that, especially in Gatsby's life, the way that you can start from nothing and become something in America, and it all is about what are you willing to work for. And another thing that we see is class systems. We see people such as Myrtle and her husband, who are very low class in America and who have to work hard, very hard to get by. And then we see people such as Jay and Daisy and Tom, who are upper class in society and have such an elaborate amount of possessions and live in a huge home and never have to worry about money at all. And so a way that I can integrate this into a lesson as a high school social studies teacher is to really take the time to look at the role that the setting plays for the characters and in the story. And so we know that this story is set in the 1920s, as we see just the story roaring as does the time period. And so a way that I can integrate a lesson into this is by having my students analyze this time period and what effects it has on the characters and in the way that the towns work and the jobs that the people have. Another thing that I can do is ask them to act it out too, in a way, and like explain how America was and compared to what it is now. And so a way that I can integrate faith into this is to take a look at the characters and their lives and just analyze how these things that are considered sin just corrupts them, and such as like money and greed and wealth, and just pull that to what the Bible says about how the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and how like the desire for worldly things and the desire for things outside of God's plan causes so much trouble, as we have seen with characters in this story. And so a way that I can help my students who are English language learners or who not have read this book before or who might have trouble is to just sit down and maybe do things like watch the movie with them, so that they have a greater understanding and that they can have a visual as to what we're reading. We can read it together out loud as a class so that they are feeling connected and like they're reading it together. I will have open discussions so that students can express their thoughts and feelings and bring up those concerns that they have and grow as a class with these books. So ultimately, as a teacher, I can use these resources in my history classroom to see how America was shaped by reading these novels. So that is my book talk. I will catch you guys in my future classroom reading these books. So awesome. Have a great day.